The massive space station Haven Prime drifted in the darkness between stars. Its hull bore scars from countless battles. Inside, Commander Rex stood before the council chamber's wide window, watching the enemy fleet grow larger on the scanners. "Sir, they're demanding our complete surrender," said Lieutenant Kate, her voice tight with fear. The Dominion Empire had conquered half the galaxy. Their black ships numbered in thousands, each one bristling with weapons that could crack moons. Rex turned to face the gathered leaders. President Wilson sat slumped in his chair, his face gray with exhaustion. General Marcus paced back and forth, his mechanical leg clicking against the floor. Dr. Emma clutched her datapad, showing supply levels dropping to critical. "We have 3 days of power left," Emma reported. "Food for maybe a week if we ration harder." The station housed the last free species of the galaxy, the Vec with Ick, their blue-scaled skin, the tall and thin Rani people, and dozens of other races who had fled the Dominion's advance. 20 million souls crowded into a station built for 5 million. Outside, the Dominion flagship destroyer moved into attack position. Its commander, Lord Kron, appeared on the main screen. His pale face showed no emotion. "You have 1 hour to surrender. After that, we begin bombardment." Kate's hands shook as she worked the communications panel. "Sir, we're picking up strange readings from Sector 7. More Dominion ships?" Marcus asked. "No, sir. It's different. The energy signature is unlike anything in our database." Rex felt his heart sink. Another unknown threat was the last thing they needed. The refugee fleet around Haven Prime consisted of damaged cargo ships and civilian vessels. Their few remaining warships couldn't even dent the Dominion armada. A child's cry echoed from the packed corridors below. Families huddled together, knowing these might be their last moments. The Vec elder Tom placed a scaled hand on Rex's shoulder. "Perhaps it is time, Commander. A quick death might be better than what the Dominion offers." Rex wanted to argue, but what could he say? Their last battle had cost them everything. Admiral Stone and the Defense Fleet were space dust. The planet Beta 5, their last military base, was now a radioactive wasteland. "Sir," Kate's voice cracked with excitement, "the anomaly is growing. Space itself is tearing." On the main screen, behind the Dominion fleet, reality began to ripple. Purple lightning crackled across the void. The Dominion ships started turning, their weapons charging. Lord Kron's image vanished as his ship changed course. Then space split open. A massive tear in reality expanded, glowing with impossible colors. From within that wound in space, shapes began to emerge. First 1 ship, then 10, then hundreds. They poured out like water from a broken dam. These vessels were different from anything in known space. Angular and aggressive, painted in gray and black, with symbols that looked almost familiar. Rex's breath caught as he recognized the design philosophy. Practical, sturdy, built for war. "By the stars," whispered Tom. "What are those?" The lead ship was enormous, easily twice the size of the Dominion flagship. Along its hull, in letters that the translator struggled with, words began to appear. "Use Pennsylvania." More ships emerged, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, launching waves of fighters. The tier in space kept widening, and the human war armada kept coming. Hundreds became thousands. Kate's console lit up with an incoming transmission. "Sir, the new ships are broadcasting on all frequencies." A voice filled the command center, speaking in a language the universal translator recognized as an old Earth dialect. "This is Admiral James of the United Earth Fleet. We've been searching for you for a very long time. To all free species, hold your position. To the Dominion Empire, you have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system." Lord Kron's response was swift and predictable. The Dominion fleet opened fire. What happened next would be remembered across the galaxy for generations. The human ships moved with coordination that seemed impossible. Shields flared to life, absorbing the Dominion's assault like it was nothing. Then humanity fired back. The human weapons spoke with voices of thunder. Blue beams of light carved through Dominion shields like paper. Rex watched in stunned silence as enemy ships that had terrorized the galaxy for decades simply ceased to exist. "Hold fire," Admiral James commanded. The human fleet stopped their assault instantly. Half the Dominion armada was already gone. "Lord Kron, this is your final warning. Withdraw now." Inside Haven Prime's command center, Dr. Emma stared at her medical scanner. "Commander, I'm reading biological signs from the human ships. They're actually human. But that's impossible." Tom, the Vec Elder, stumbled backward. His scaled hands trembled. "The first builders. They're the first builders from our oldest legends." "First builders?" Kate asked, not taking her eyes off the tactical display. "Every species has the stories," Tom whispered. "An ancient race that built the first jump gates, then vanished into the void. We found their ruins on 1,000 worlds. The same DNA markers, the same architectural style. We called them the first builders because they came before all of us." President Wilson stood up slowly. "You're saying humans are our ancestors' gods," Tom finished. On the screen, Lord Kron's pale face appeared again. His arrogance had cracked, replaced by something Rex had never seen before: fear. "You cannot be here. Earth burned 500 years ago. We have the records. The solar system is a dead zone." Admiral James appeared on a separate channel, broadcasting to everyone. He was younger than Rex expected, with gray hair and kind eyes that held steel beneath. "Earth did burn. Our colonies were destroyed by a race called the Swarm. We were dying, scattered, nearly extinct. The Admiral's ship, the Pennsylvania, moved forward slowly. But humans are stubborn. The last of our fleets gathered every survivor. We could find 13 million souls in damaged ships. We couldn't fight the Swarm then, so we ran. Not to another star system, but into the void between galaxies." Kate gasped. "That's impossible. The void has nothing. No stars, no resources, no hope of survival. Nothing but time," James continued. "We drifted for 50 years in the darkness. We should have died, but we adapted. We learned to harvest energy from quantum foam itself. We built new ships from the husks of old ones. We created closed ecosystems that could last forever. The human fleet continued emerging from the rift. Rex counted over 3,000 vessels now, each one unique, clearly built by hand rather than mass-produced. Generation after generation grew up in the void," James said. "We became something new. Not just survivors, but guardians waiting to return. We developed technologies you would call impossible because we had no choice. And we listened." "Listened?" General Marcus asked. "We deployed probe networks throughout the galaxy, watching, waiting for the right moment. We heard about the Dominion's rise. We watched free worlds fall, but we weren't ready. Our population was still too small, our fleet incomplete. A new image appeared, a star chart showing signals spreading across the galaxy. Then, 3 days ago, we detected something that changed everything. A distress signal from Haven Prime, containing DNA markers from 37 different species, all crying out together. The family we never knew we had was dying." James's voice hardened. "We opened every rift generator we had. The entire human fleet, 500 years in the making, came here. Because that's what humans do. When family calls for help, we answer." Lord Kron snarled. "Pretty words won't save you. The full might of the Dominion Empire will crush you like we crushed Earth. Earth wasn't our only world even then." James replied calmly. "And you didn't face the humans we've become. Watch and learn. The Dominion fleet reformed and attacked again. This time, the humans didn't just defend. Small fighter craft launched from carriers, moving in patterns that hurt to watch. They folded, space around themselves, appearing and disappearing faster than sensors could track. A Dominion battleship tried to ram the Pennsylvania. The human vessel's hull rippled, and the enemy ship passed through it like it was a ghost. Then the Pennsylvania solidified, again, and fired a single shot. The battleship crumpled like paper. Dimensional phase shifting. Emma breathed. They're moving through different dimensions at will. Rex watched Lord Kron's face pale further as his fleet was taken apart piece by piece. But the humans weren't killing everyone. Escape pods were being collected by human rescue ships, even from destroyed Dominion vessels. Why are you saving them? Kron demanded. Admiral James smiled sadly. Because that's what makes us human. Asterisk. The battle for Haven Prime became legend before it even ended. Lord Kron ordered his remaining 800 ships into a sphere formation, their ultimate defensive position. Energy shields overlapped, creating an impenetrable barrier that had never been broken. Rex had seen this formation crush entire fleets. Admiral James spoke to his fleet in a language the translators couldn't parse. The human ships moved in response, flowing like water around the Dominion sphere. Then they did something impossible. They're linking shields, Kate announced, her voice filled with awe. All 3,000 human ships are creating one massive shield network. Space around the Dominion sphere began to glow. A human fleet wasn't attacking. They were containing. A prison of pure energy formed around Kron's forces. What are they doing? President Wilson asked. His answer came from an unexpected source. A hologram materialized in Haven Prime's command center. A human woman in a uniform marked Captain Lisa, UES Hope. Commander Rex, I'm the Medical Fleet Commander. We're requesting permission to dock with your station. We have supplies and medical personnel ready to assist. Emma nearly dropped her scanner. Medical fleet? During a battle? The battle is contained, Lisa said simply. Admiral James handles the fighting. We handle the healing. That's how humans wage war. Through the windows, Rex saw massive white ships approaching Haven Prime. Each one was the size of a city, marked with a Red Cross symbol. Dozens of smaller medical vessels spread out toward the refugee fleet. We're detecting wounded aboard your ships, Lisa continued. May we help? Tom spoke carefully. You would help us while still fighting? Lisa smiled. We have combat medics on the battlefield treating wounded Dominion soldiers right now. Healing and fighting aren't opposites to humans. They're two parts of survival. The containment field around the Dominion sphere suddenly pulsed. Inside, Kron's ships fired everything they had. The energy had nowhere to go. It bounced back, hitting their own shields. Lord Kron, Admiral James broadcast. You're fighting yourself now. Every shot you fire returns to you. Surrender. Never. Kron screamed. All ships, activate Omega Protocol. Rex's blood froze. Omega Protocol was the Dominion's self-destruct command. 800 ships would create an explosion that could crack Haven Prime like an egg, but the expected explosion never came. Sorry about this, James said. But we've been listening to your communications for years. We know your codes. Every Dominion ship suddenly went dark. Their engines died. Their weapons powered down. One by one, they began to drift. Electronic warfare suite activated. A robotic voice announced from the human fleet. All Dominion systems isolated. Control transferred to Unity AI network. An AI? Marcus gasped. They're using artificial intelligence? A new hologram appeared, a shifting pattern of lights that somehow seemed friendly. Hello, Haven Prime. I am Unity, the human fleet's strategic AI. I consist of 10,000 networked quantum processors working in harmony. Don't worry. Humans don't let me make decisions about life and death. I just handle the technical details. Unity's light pattern shifted to show the Dominion ships. I've disabled their weapons and engines while maintaining life support. No one needs to die today. Kate's console lit up with new signals. Commander, I'm detecting human ships throughout the system. They were already here, hidden. Cloaking technology, Unity explained. We've had scout ships in every major system for decades. When Admiral James gave the signal, the entire human expeditionary force activated. This isn't just a rescue, it's liberation. Lord Kron appeared on screen one final time, sitting in his dark bridge. You cannot do this. The Dominion Empire spans 10,000 worlds. You cannot fight us all. James stood up on his bridge, his crew visible behind him, humans of every color and shape working with perfect coordination. We're not trying to fight you all. We're trying to save you all. Medical ships were now docking with Haven Prime. Through the corridors, Rex could hear something he hadn't heard in months. Laughter. Children's laughter. The human medical teams weren't just bringing supplies. They were bringing hope. Sir, Kate said, tears in her eyes. The human ships are transmitting something on all frequencies. Music filled the command center. Not martial music or victory fanfares, but something gentle. 1,000 human voices singing in harmony. Their words simple. You're going home. Tom collapsed into a chair, his scales shifting to a color Rex had never seen. Pure joy. They're not conquerors. They're shepherds, come to lead us home. The containment field around the Dominion fleet began to lower. One by one, escape pods launched from Kron's ships. Not fleeing, but surrendering. The human rescue ships collected each one carefully. The thunder of war gave way to the lightning of hope. Asterisk. Lord Kron's defeat was only the beginning. 3 days after the battle at Haven Prime, Rex stood in the rebuilt command center alongside Admiral James. The human had come aboard with only 2 guards, showing trust that no Dominion officer ever would. They're coming, Kate announced, reading the long-range sensors. Dominion Grand Fleet, 20,000 ships from across the Empire. The refugee representatives gathered around the tactical display. Where once there had been despair, now Rex saw determination. The human medical teams had not just healed bodies. They had restored spirits. Admiral James studied the incoming fleet with calm eyes. 20,000. The Dominion Emperor himself leads them. He touched his communicator. Unity, please send the message. What message? President Wilson asked. The one that brings everyone home, James replied. Across the galaxy, something unprecedented happened. On 10,000 conquered worlds, hidden transmitters activated simultaneously. Each one carried the same message in every known language. To all enslaved peoples, freedom comes. Look to the skies at sunset. Humanity remembers you. Tom's scales flickered with confusion. How did you place transmitters on conquered worlds? We've been preparing for 500 years, James said. Every probe, every scout ship, every piece of debris we sent carried microtransmitters. They've been sleeping in your cities, waiting. On the display, new rifts began tearing open across the galaxy. Not 3,000 ships this time. The count passed 10,000, then 20, then 50,000. The full human armada was revealing itself. Impossible, Marcus breathed. No species could build so many ships. We had nothing but time in the void, James explained. Every asteroid became a ship. Every broken vessel was rebuilt. Children grew up learning to weld before they could write. We knew that when we returned, we'd need to free everyone at once. Otherwise, the Dominion would use hostages. The Emperor's voice boomed across all channels. I am supremacy absolute. You dare challenge 10,000 years of Dominion rule? We have weapons that crack stars, viruses that eat steel, bombs that erase time itself. James nodded to Unity's hologram. Show them. Every human ship in the galaxy fired a single pulse of light into space. The pulses merged, creating a network of energy that spanned star systems. Then, every Dominion weapon larger than a rifle simply turned off. Quantum deactivation field, Unity explained cheerfully. We mapped every Dominion weapon signature over the decades. Big weapons are actually easier to disable than small ones. Physics is funny that way. On conquered worlds, something extraordinary began. Human drop pods fell like rain, but they didn't carry soldiers. They carried fabricators, machines that could build anything from raw materials. Food, medicine, tools, even simple weapons appeared in the hands of enslaved populations. You're arming the slaves? Wilson gasped. We're giving them the choice to free themselves, James corrected. Humans learned long ago that freedom given isn't as powerful as freedom taken. The Emperor's Grand Fleet reached Haven Prime System. 20,000 ships faced 3,000. But numbers had stopped mattering. Human fighters swarmed out, each one piloted by a human consciousness linked to Unity's network. They moved as one organism with a million eyes. Dominion formations, perfected over millennia, crumbled in minutes. But the true shock came when human ground forces finally appeared. Rex watched the video feeds from liberated worlds. Human soldiers weren't killing Dominion forces. They were capturing them. Entire armies surrendered to squads of humans who offered food and medical care to their enemies. Why? Lord Kron asked from his cell on the Pennsylvania. Why show mercy to those who showed none? A human guard, a young man named David, answered simply. Because someone has to break the cycle. Might as well be us. The Emperor's flagship, a moon-sized dreadnought, fired its ultimate weapon, a beam that could drain a star. It hit the Pennsylvania directly. The beam passed through empty space. The human ships had phase-shifted out of normal reality, letting the attack pass harmlessly through. Supremacy absolute, James broadcast. Your empire ends today. Not through conquest, but through choice. Every world now has the tools to choose freedom. Your slaves are becoming free citizens. Your soldiers are seeing there's another way. Surrender and help us build something better. Kate pointed to the tactical display. Commander, look. 6 months had passed since the Dominion fell. Rex stood on the observation deck of New Haven. The massive station humans had built alongside the old Haven Prime. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he watched something he'd never imagined. Children playing in zero-gravity parks. Human children chasing Vec younglings. Ronnie adolescents teaching Earth games to others. No fear, no separation. Just joy. Hard to believe, isn't it? Admiral James stood beside him, now dressed in civilian clothes. The war was over, and he'd kept his promise. Military command had given way to civilian leadership. Which part? Rex asked. That we're free, that we're alive, or that humans were real all along. That we're all family, James replied. 500 years in the void, we thought we'd lost everything. But we found something better, purpose. Below them, the great shipyards of humanity worked around the clock. But they weren't building warships. They were constructing colony ships, hospitals, schools, and trading vessels. Every freed world received what it needed most, tools to build their own future. Kate's voice echoed through the station. Representatives to Council Chamber 1, please. The Galactic Alliance Charter signing begins in 10 minutes. The chamber was packed. Representatives from 900 species filled the amphitheater. At the center sat President Wilson, now elected as the first council president. Beside him, Tom represented the Vec, and surprisingly, Lord Kron stood for the reformed Dominion worlds. Kron had changed. His pale skin had gained color during his imprisonment. where he'd been treated not as a war criminal, but as someone who needed to learn a better way. He'd spent months working alongside human engineers, rebuilding worlds he'd once destroyed. The charter is simple, Wilson began. Every species maintains independence. Every world chooses its own path. The Alliance exists only to prevent what happened before, the strong consuming the weak. And humanity? Asked a representative from a newly freed world. What do you gain from this? Admiral James stood to answer. A home. For 500 years, we survived in the void. But we never stopped being human. Humans need more than survival. We need purpose, connection, family. You gave us that when you called for help. A young human girl ran into the chamber, chasing a Rani child. They laughed as they weaved between the delegates. No one stopped them. This was the future they were building, one where children could play freely among the stars. There's something else, James continued. Earth. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew Earth was a dead world, burned by the swarm centuries ago. James smiled. We sent scout ships home 3 months ago. The swarm is long gone. Earth is healing itself. The oceans are blue again. Forests are growing. It's waiting for us, double quotes. He paused. All of us? All? Tom asked. Earth isn't just humanity's cradle anymore. It's going to be the Alliance capital, a symbol that from destruction comes new life. Every species will have an embassy there. Your children will play in Earth's oceans, climb its mountains, breathe its air. Dr. Emma entered with a data pad. The medical network is complete. Every inhabited world now has human medical tech and training programs. Disease, hunger, preventable death, they're becoming history. Unity's hologram appeared. I'm pleased to report that the quantum communication network is operational. Every world can now communicate instantly. Distance no longer divides us. Kron spoke, his voice humble. The Dominion ruled through fear for 10,000 years. You conquered us in 6 months through mercy. How? A human child, no more than 7, answered from where she sat with alien children. Because being mean is stupid. Being nice makes more friends. The chamber erupted in laughter. From the mouths of babes came wisdom that empires had forgotten. James activated the main display. It showed the galaxy, not divided by borders, but connected by trade routes, communication lines, and defensive networks. The human fleet will remain. We'll patrol the void between galaxies, watching for threats like the swarm. We'll be the shield that lets civilization flourish. Guardians eternal, Tom said, his scales shifting to show reverence. The legends were true. You're meant to protect us all. Not just protect, James corrected. Grow with you. Learn from you. Become better together. Wilson activated the charter. One by one, representatives placed their appendages, hands, tentacles, or energy fields on the document. The Galactic Alliance was born. Outside, a human fleet formed an honor guard as ships from freed worlds jumped toward home. The war armada that had burst from the void had become a bridge to tomorrow. Rex looked at the stars, no longer seeing darkness, but infinite possibility. When all hope had faded, humanity had returned, and with them, hope itself was reborn.